Hello and welcome back. How can you process a message if it contains several elements and each element needs to be processed slightly differently, which means you want to take a message and kind of look through various parts of that message and pass those parts, individual parts, through different business logic. Okay, this is where comes a very interesting enterprise integration pattern called splitter. In today's video, we will be discussing and looking at this very interesting enterprise integration pattern called splitter, and of course we will try to build some very simple to follow use cases using this enterprise integration pattern using our favorite library or framework called Apache Camel. So you can use a splitter to break out the composite message into a series of individual messages, each containing data related to one item only. The splitter from the EIP patterns allows you to split message into a number of pieces and process them individually. Let's take a look at this particular example. Let's say you have an order. Okay, an order contains several things. As you can just imagine, order can contain maybe customer details and the various items a customer has bought. Okay, what you want to do is you take this order, split it into some using some sort of business logic you have, okay, and then pass those individual items separately. Okay, and also interesting thing you can do with a splitter EIP is you can not only process those individual items, at the end you can aggregate them back to a single message. Okay, it sounds a bit complex, but it's not that hard. Okay, I'll show you in this video how to do it. First, let's just try to understand how splitter actually works, right, in Apache Camel. A common use case is to split basically, let's say, list, set, some sort of collection, map, array, or something that is like iterable from the message body. Okay, so like things which can be kind of iterated over. The split EIP will by default split the message body based on the value type. Could be like collection, it could be like map, object array, any iterator, or anything which is like iterable basically. Okay, or it can be a node list, which is basically splits the XML document, each element from the list. And last but not least, a simple string. Okay, what splitter will do basically, it will take a string, it will look at some sort of delimiter. By default it's a comma. Okay, it splits the message, it will split the string, and then you get those individual items to process. Okay, you can use any delimiter you want. You can use like new line, you can use hash, or anything else in that matter. How does this actually work? So if you just try to visualize from the workflow perspective, this is how it goes. So if you take a look at this particular flow chart, so system will start. When I say system will start, means camel root will receive a message. Okay, it will evaluate expression. Okay, it will create iterator. What is evaluate expression over here means it will simply look at the body, it will try to understand the message. Can I really iterate over this message? Okay, if it can iterate over the message, it will see like okay, is there anything else to split? Okay, if there is nothing, then that's the end of the message. If there is, however, what it will do basically, it will copy the original message. Okay, then it replaces the body from the first element of the iterator, and then it just goes on. Okay, and then it will process the message, and it will at the end, if you supply aggregator, it will try to aggregate the message for you, and then it just goes on until you have kind of iterated over all the elements. Okay, as I was saying, like splitter also allows you to aggregate message at the end. So let's just try to visually first understand what does that mean, and then we'll start working on our code. Okay, let's say I have a message coming like maybe A, B, C, or whatever. Okay, then splitter will split the message. You got message A, you got message B, you got message C. Okay, you try to translate that message, you try to do something with that message, and at the end you try to put all those things together just as a one common message the way it came, but now you have kind of the translated bits. Yeah, and then you got your aggregated message at the end. So not only you managed to split very nicely, you applied business logic on each element, and then at the end you managed to put that together. Enough of chatting. Let's take a look at the code, okay, and try to build some simple routes using splitter, as well as one complex example I'll show you, and then towards the end we'll try to use this aggregator strategy as well. Let's head back to our IntelliJ. So what I have done over here, I have quickly built this splitter route test. You can take this code from sagu.uk, or you can go to github.com/jssagu. Okay, everything will be checked in for you, or a link will be in the description of this video. By the way, if you're still listening, please try to subscribe. It really helps me to create content, because I receive your feedback. I kind of see how many people are watching, etc. So try to subscribe it. Okay, so first thing what we want to do is, let's say I have a route, this route. Yeah, I hope my screen is visible. Let's try to zoom in a little bit. I have a route called direct start. Okay, so this is where our message will arrive or land. What we need to do is, first thing, we need to split it. Okay, and how do we split it? We pass our body. What Camel will do at this point, if you remember what I was saying a few seconds ago, it automatically try to do few things. It will look like, am I able to iterate over this body which has been sent to me? Like, is it type of list, maybe some sort of object array, or some sort of map or whatever. Or if it has a plain simple string and maybe it's delimited by comma. Just remember, over here we have not given any delimiter at this point. Okay, so Camel will try to evaluate this particular thing, and if it can kind of split the message by this criteria which I just described, it will split those messages. And then what we will be able to see, we will be able to I'm simply printing like, this is the splitted line, for example, and this is the body. Just remember flowchart. Once it has split the message, it will replace the body, and it will replace the body with the newly created individual item. The original body is still kept somewhere in the memory, but this is our new body at this particular moment. Okay, after that I'm sending to mock split, just to evaluate that, okay, each line is kind of each element has been taken over from the body, and we are able to evaluate that. So in my test over here, I'm simply saying test split EIP. I've created a mock endpoint. I'm saying, okay, mock split. Okay, this is where we are sending at the end. As you can see, line number 51. I'm saying I am expecting body A, B, and C. Okay. Over here, I'm simply creating a body, and I have created array of element A, B, C, and I am sending my body over here. Okay, and if I run this test, you can see Camel will basically, if we go over here, if you can see this log, I'm not sure if I can zoom in this. Yeah, I can actually. So okay, so if you see over here, I have printed this log. I said splitted line. Okay, and this is my new body. If I had printed the full body would look like A comma B comma C, because that's the object. But over here you can see it is individual line printed now. Okay, what I'm trying to say here is, before splitting, if I print this body, if I just say before split, if I say before split, and if I try to run this program, what you will notice, Camel will print the full body. Okay, and there we are. Okay, as you can see over here, Camel has printed the full body for us, obviously, but now we have done the split on body. Okay, by default is able to iterate over my array list. Okay, and it's saying split line A, split line B, split line C. Okay, and it is basically sending to this mock endpoint, and we are able to evaluate that. Okay, expected bodies are received. Just remember, this is bodies. Yeah, this is plural over here. So we are receiving these different bodies at different intervals. One more thing I said just a second ago. By default, it's able to kind of look at am I able to iterate, etc. How can I supply my own delimiter? So let's try to build that use case. So first of all, if I just say a comma b comma c, just remember at this point I am not passing this list. Let's comment this out to avoid the confusion. Okay, avoid any confusion. So if I run this program at this point, my behavior is same. Okay, so system camel should be able to evaluate this thing very nicely. As you can see, my test is still passing, which means before split I've got ABC. Did you notice a slightly different? Now we are receiving string. Earlier we were receiving object. Yeah, list was printed like in square brackets. Okay, now same behavior. How can I use my own delimiter? Let's first try to replace this comma with hash. Okay, if I try to run this test now, it is going to fail. Why it's going to fail? Because camel will not be able to split this this particular body. It's just gonna see ABC as a one string. Yeah, it won't be able to split it because by default delimiter is comma. So if I run this test case again, it's gonna fail. Reason being, mock endpoint will not be receiving A body, B body, C body. It's just gonna receive one block. Okay, as you can see, before split and after split, it's just one string. Test case is also failing. It's saying I was expecting a single body called A, but I received ABC. Problem. Now, how do we fix this problem? As I was saying up to now, you can actually use your own delimiter. So what I'm simply going to do over here is I'm going to say split the body, but use my own delimiter. Okay, how can I do that? I'm going to say please use my own delimiter. There we are. Okay, now our test should be back where it was, because now camel will be able to split my body. There we are. All right, so I am able to override, or I'm able to supply my own delimiter at this point. That was very simple use case where kind of, you know, I'm passing array list or a string with delimiter or the default delimiter, and my system is able to kind of you know, split it. Let's try to kind of move on to some advanced or complex use case. You might be wondering, how can I break or split a complex object? What could be our complex object? Let's just, you know, as I was saying in the beginning, let's just imagine you have an object called order. It contains maybe, you know, some sort of customer ID, and it contains list of items a customer has purchased. Okay, or order. What you can do is you can actually pass a complex criteria over here in this split. Okay, and ask camel to basically split based of your criteria. Let's try to take a look, because that will make much more sense. I have got, let's just minimize this. I have got second test case which I have written. Let's say I have order. Okay, as you can see, I have order over here. This is let's say I have my complex object called customer orders. Yeah, it contains the customer ID and it contains the orders customer has purchased. Yeah, so order itself is basically complex, which has order ID and it has items. Yeah, let's say like on Amazon, if you building a report saying for maybe Jaswinder, tell me like what he has bought in last 6 months or whatever, let's say this object will be returned, which will say, okay, customer ID is whatever Jaswinder or something. Okay, and it will say Jaswinder has bought these orders in past 6 months or whatever. Now what I want to do is I would like to split based on these orders. Okay, even though I am going to send this message as a body, if I try to split it, it's not gonna work, because you are not able to iterate over customer orders. Inside that, doesn't matter what happens, is camel itself will not be able to iterate over it. If I was sending a list of customer orders, that would be a different story. But if I'm sending one customer order, Camel will not be able to split it. So what we have to tell now is, I'm telling Camel is, can you please go inside this object, try to split it based on these orders. Yeah, okay, let's do that. How we can do it. So if you take a look in this complex split over here, if I just do this split body, let's see what will happen. Okay, if I try to run this particular test at this moment, my test is going to print something like this. Okay, I'm not evaluating anything at the moment, which is fine. So as you can see over here, I'm saying customer ID Sagu, and order is like, no, just printed as a one big blob. Basically whatever I'm receiving, I'm just dumping it over here. But what we want to do is, we want to iterate over the orders inside the customer orders. So how you can do that? Quite easy. What we're gonna do over here is, in my body, I am going to tell Camel, can you please take this body, okay, but do it slightly differently. I'm gonna show you two ways. One, let's say like, no, just inline using the simple expression language. Later on we'll try to use Java method as well. So over here, if I simply say simple dollar body, so this is my main body. Now inside my body, I am going to retrieve this particular list, orders. Yeah, so what Camel will do now, where it is, yeah, there it is. What Camel will do, Camel will look at the body, it will try to extract orders. Now it will see, oh, this is a list, okay, and it will be able to split it now very easily. If I run my test now, just remember how we were printing earlier. We were printing like, no, one big blob order. If I make this little change and run my test, see how the behavior is changed. Okay, if you try to zoom in a little bit, I'm saying my customer ID is Sagu. Okay, and now can you see I am getting printed, or I'm able to extract my orders or order list, and I'm able to process one by one. Over here we are simply printing on console, but you can very well pass this to a new route, and then that route will be able to process this particular order. Okay, let's say maybe you wanna do some sort of stock allocation, or you wanna check, like, maybe put it somewhere that, okay, this customer is buying these things, okay, and wanna make it favorite or whatever. Doesn't really matter, but you got the idea, right? So what we were able to do, we were able to split now by kind of inspecting inside a message body. This is a quite complex use case, but it has been made quite simpler like this. Another thing you can do is, so this is one way, like, using this kind of inline, expression language, etc. But let's say you want to have, like, some sort of complex logic. Yeah, you want to use some sort of Java methods. You will be able to do that. How we can do that? Let's just replace this simple with another technique, or splitter is going to give us, is called method. So you are able to call a method on a class, okay, which will take input of this object, and then you can do whatever you want to do. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, let's say I have created a class called order service dot class. So I'm simply telling my camel split method that, please can you go to this class and use whatever business logic has been written there to kind of split this particular object which is being received on my my route. Yeah, so if I take you to this order service class, which is over here, it's quite simple service class. Okay, what it's simply doing is, it has just one method called get orders. It's consuming this object which is being received in our camel, customer orders, and on customer orders I'm simply pulling up this get orders. As I said, now we are able to call a Java method. You can write whatever complex business logic you want to write over here. Okay, you can put some sort of filter criteria. You can maybe put few things together and then just create a brand new object and return a list. As long as you can return a list or object array or a string, separated by comma, etc., etc., that's what our splitter needs, okay, to split the body. So what we simply done over here, I have very simply written a class, okay, which has one single method, get orders, and then we are writing some business logic to extract some information from it, okay. If this class had multiple methods, you will have to specify the name of the method, okay. But over here, since I just have one method, Camel is quite clever that way, that it knows that, okay, there is only single method, so it knows which method to call. If I run this program once again, we should be seeing the same behavior, okay. All right, so if I zoom in a little bit for you, you can see we have exact same behavior. I am printing customer ID, line number 58, you can see above, and we did a split, and then I am printing body at line number 60, which you are seeing over here, okay. So we got a complex object, we printed header, and then we are able to kind of split some part of that message. So at this point, you have seen, like, how you can kind of split a very simple message and a complex message. Now, last but not least, aggregation. How can I aggregate the messages which I have splitted, applied some business logic to it, back to one common message? Because at this point, what has happened? Camel has broken the message into individual elements. Now you want to put all these things together and then pass it on to another route. Okay, remember that slide which I was showing to you? You have a message which is coming, we splitted it, going to individual bodies or routes or whatever. We want to put them together. Over here comes a strategy called aggregator strategy. I have a separate video on aggregation strategy, but it fits very nicely with splitter EIP as well over here. So I thought, why not try to build an example for that. All right, so let's go back to our use cases over here. So complex split EIP we have done. Now we want to build split and aggregate EIP. So what I'm basically doing is, I'm still using the very first example where I'm going to send ABC. Now what I want to do is, I would like to break ABC, but apply some sort of business logic onto that. Maybe replace A with something, some sort of word, B with some different word, C with different word, and then put them together as one single message. What we are expecting over here is, basically we are saying at the end, I like to print a message like this: A equal to apple plus B equal to bucket plus C equal to cat. This is what I am expecting. Yeah. So how do we do that? If we go to code line number 64, this is where I have done this aggregation. We split our body because I'm sending a string separated by comma. You don't need to do anything, but again, you can do split as complex as you want. We have seen a couple of examples already. One thing you have to pass now is word aggregation strategy class, which I have just created. Okay, what is this class basically? This is a type of bean or class which needs to implement this particular interface given by Camel called aggregation strategy. Okay, when you implement this method, you have to override this method called aggregate, which takes the old exchange and new exchange. As I said, I have a video on that. I'll probably try to give a link. Have a look, like how this whole thing works. Okay, but just imagine over here what we are doing is, we are trying to aggregate things. So Camel will pass the old message and the new message, and you can kind of club them together, join them together, okay, to form a message, and then you just carry on like that. Okay, so say for example, I have split ABC. First, when I say old exchange, it might be starting with null, you get A. Okay, next time A will be your old, B will be new, you put them together. Next time A and B has been put together, you get a C as a new input, you kind of club them together, you got ABC. Okay, this is exactly what's happening. Okay, we are kind of putting the existing message and the new message together, separated by plus. Okay, and we are returning. Come back to root over here. So this is our aggregation strategy, that how we like to club or join our messages together. But the important bit over here is, what you really want to do with individual message. How do I kind of convert A to A equal apple, or B equal to bucket, or whatever. This is where you have to create one more bean, okay, and you'll be able to put your business logic over there. So let's take a look at this bean called word translate bean. So what I have done over here is very simply, I have a single method called translate. Again, if you have a single method in a camel world, and you're calling that bean, you don't need to give the method name. If you however have like more than one, you will have to give. Okay, this is this is quite a powerful feature, to be honest with you. Okay, what we are simply doing over here is we are maintaining this map, okay, which says A equal to apple, B equal to bucket, C equal to cat. And when you call this method called translate and you pass the key over here will be the elements. Yeah, you try to pick up from that map, and then you say key equal to whatever the value of that is over here. Yeah, makes sense. So what will happen at this point is, you got the body, you splitted it, you applied the aggregation strategy, but for each message now you are saying I would like to apply this business logic on my message. Okay, and then you are sending it to mock split, okay, which I think I'm not checking, so we can ignore that. And the important thing you have to remember here is AND. If you don't AND a split, what will happen? If you do not AND it, you remember what I was trying to say earlier. When you split it, your internal body has been replaced by the current element. Yeah, so at this point, if I try to pass it to a root, you will get a body with the current element of that iterator. Yeah, if you AND it, which means all the message has been split, business logic has been applied, and then everything has been clubbed together and a single message has been formed. So that's what we have done over here. So just remember, AND is very critical for aggregation strategy or to finish the split. Yeah, so this is one common mistake I have seen people making, that okay, they split it, but then they say, oh, hang on, how can I get the original body, or the body where all these things have been put together. So if you are seeing this problem, the reason is you're not ending it, so you have to end it. Yeah, so I have done my split, my aggregation strategy, my translation has been done. I am finishing my business logic at this point. I'm simply printing now. I'm saying, okay, this is my aggregated body, and we are sending to our mock aggregated result, so we can kind of assert it, we can verify it automatically. Let's try to run this particular test, split and aggregate EIP. All right, boom. Okay, it passed. Good enough. Let's try to analyze the results over here. So what happened? As you can see, this is my aggregated result: A equal to apple, B equal to bucket, and C equal to cat. Yeah, if I had printed a log before AND over here, you can play in your own time now, since you have the idea. If I had print .log over here, you would have seen A, B, C, and A, maybe things getting kind of replaced or aggregated. All right, okay, so I think we have now basically this is the end of this tutorial. So today you have learned how to use you have learned how to use split EIP using Apache Camel, and also apply aggregation strategy. Okay, so how these two things work really nicely together. If you like the video, please leave a feedback or comment at the bottom, and if possible, try to subscribe it. Okay, and give me thumbs up. I don't know, people ask for it, so I'm asking, I'm learning. All right, thanks for your time. I'll see you in next video.